So, I just found out that marijuana is one of the most effective and has the least side effects, and is basically the most effective and the safest way to treat people with epilepsy, to prevent or make sure that they don't, basically to stop them from having seizures. Like the drugs that you have to, like the drugs that they have out there, like the pharmaceutical drugs, to treat that, they are so riddled with side effects that they can cause picklings of the liver to be totally shut down and all these other organ problems, and they're only mildly effective at treating or preventing or stopping seizures. In fact, they don't even come close to stopping them at all. They just reduces the number of it. Yet marijuana can actually stop you from having seizures. It's completely, you won't have any more seizures. And there's next to no side effects, negative side effects. That is, people know about medical marijuana for treating depression and anxiety, mostly anxiety, but I just learned about that. That is a huge medical breakthrough, and it's in a drug that's illegal. And yet, nicotine literally has zero health benefits, and all the other shit that's in cigarettes has a gazillion of things that are gonna kill you real quick. Well, maybe not real quick, but basically it's just really, really not good for you. But marijuana has next to no health risks or anything like that in comparison to the amount of health benefits it has. Alcohol is another one that, yes, certain alcohols such as wine or beer do have some health benefits, but that's taken if you have one beer or well, I don't know about beers, you can have a little bit more, but one glass of wine a day is good for your heart. But there's a ton of other things that are far more effective at being good for your heart and to give you the same benefits with the lesser risk, and beer does have a bunch of health benefits. I haven't researched too much into that, but anyways. But then we have marijuana, which doesn't have any negative side effects except for it can, just like any drug, and I mean any drug, so that includes things like alcohol, nicotine, even a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, or even caffeine can cause, in kids growing up. Now, caffeine obviously is one of the weakest drugs on that list, so it's going to have the smallest effects, but any drug taken while your brain is still developing can fuck with that development. It's just, if you take something that affects your brain, then yeah, and your brain is still building and being created and all this other stuff with growing up, yeah, okay, I could see that affecting your brain. So stop using that argument there, because marijuana is not nearly as bad as a gazillion other drugs that kids are allowed to take. So before you say, hey, kids can't have alcohol, have you ever met a teenager? And these are the ones that they're talking about, who are oh, teenagers taking weed is fucking with their brains. Alcohol fucks with their brains too, a hell of a lot more than weed does, hun. And there are far more teens having alcohol, and it's far more socially accepted because it's actually legal for a teenager to drink. I don't know if this is the way in the States, but I know in Canada it's legal for a teenager to drink if they have parental permission, and it is at the home of a blood relative, or not blood, a relative such as your legal guardians, or an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or something like that. It can't be your cousin Freddie's house, but yeah, that sort of thing. So at a Christmas or family Christmas party or something, you have some wine at dinner, that's cool, all this other stuff. So, I mean, it's far more legal for kids to have alcohol, which we all know is way worse for your brain, and the whole killing brain cells argument is thrown out the window, because compared to the amount of brain cells that alcohol kills, come on, man. Marijuana's not that bad. But the thing is, too, is that people don't realize they have this kind of notion that brain cells cannot be repaired. And up to a certain age, they can actually be repaired. And just like any cell, they can regenerate. It's just how the body works. If we couldn't regenerate any lost brain cells, then we'd be fucking screwed. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but that thing going around about how your whole body pretty much has been replaced itself every 7 years? The brain does that too, and actually that's why memories, the older they are less reliable, because every memory you have is actually a memory of a memory. And the more you remember something, the more memories of that memory is being created, and every time a memory is being created of a memory, not just the initial recording, but it actually, it alters it. slightly. So you can remember, oh, I remember there was this playground and it was all plastic and it had this great big yellow slide and this set of swings. And when I was 4 years old, that was near my house. And then you go back later, it's like, oh, it was wood and there at most there was a tire swing. That happened to me. I was like the house, well, no, I wasn't even, it was like 3. It was like 2, I was there from being like not even a year old to be 3 years old, and that's how I remembered it on my head. And then like several years later, because I mean I was born all the way in northern Alberta, like this little tiny speck of a town, and then, you know, because my dad's in the military and there's a military base there anyway, so that's where I was, you know, born. And for the first couple of years of my life I was born in another house, and then they moved into a bigger house now that they had 2 kids. That's irrelevant. Anyway, so I remember that all like that, and that's whole memory thing's irrelevant too. Anyways, I'm sorry, I get off topic way too easily. But yeah, seriously, like the whole seizure thing, like, I'm sorry, but if I had epilepsy and I found out that, because I mean, I have psychiatric issues, and I'm on all these medications that are causing all these side effects, and I hate them, and I am actually trying to get to see another psychiatrist who can maybe alter them and say, hey, maybe you don't need to be on all freaking 5 or 6, I can't even remember at this point, medications that you're on. Let's lower that down. If I had something like, hey, just, you see all these fucking drugs you've been taking that have been giving you all these nasty side effects and actually haven't really been helping you any, just smoke some weed and you'll be good. I'll be like, yeah, let's freaking dope it up. So yeah, I still really don't understand why weed is still illegal so many places. Like, come on, dude. It's, and also another thing I found out on the same fucking timeline browse that in the last freaking 10 minutes was that hemp, they actually thought at like the beginning of the 1900s, they thought that hemp was going to completely replace trees as a source of, to make paper products by the 1940s, because to make the same amount of paper you only need 1 acre of hemp to every 4.1, I think it was, acres of forest to make the same amount of paper. And I'm thinking like, yeah, the hemp sounds like a good fucking idea, but then, you know, the weed legalization and all this other bullshit. So, hey, nothing makes sense in this fucked up world. Thanks for watching.